Hello, everyone. This is Brandon Farley, broker of Farley Coastal Real Estate. I manage also flatfeehomesource.com. I wanted to get on and share some important items, and I have a wonderful guest speaker. Her name is Stephanie Dyer with Casey Home Loans. Wonderful person, and some things that we're going to talk about. Some updates about what's going on. A lot of people are getting hit with a lot of different things. The society is changing, and I wanted to, talk about the market update and how real estate is adjusting to protect people against COVID-19. And also, what can real estate expect in the months to come? So, Stephanie, how are you? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. So, I just kind of want to talk about those things, and basically, I want to see how is the market doing right now. What's your thoughts on everything that's going on?
It's definitely all of the topics that you share. They're very hot right now. A lot of conversations, a lot of buzz happening on what exactly is going to happen. And obviously, none of us have a glass, but we can go off at indicators and numbers and statistics, all that good stuff. And also just looking at the trends themselves. So basically breaking down, how is real estate doing right now? We are seeing a little bit of a shift into the buyer's market, or what is known as a buyer's market. Right now, it's all supply and demand. So right now, when we have certain buyers that are being laid off or furloughed or whatever it is, it does decrease the pool of the amount of buyers out there, which makes it a little bit more of a playing field for those buyers that are fine, that have not really had any sort of negative impact on their job or income, or they've just saved up enough to where they really don't feel this as a bump at all. And a lot of people are wanting to take advantage of that because, that's the time to strike. You want to buy stocks when the market's low. You want to buy property when the market's low. I mean, that's really how you make money in these arenas. So we definitely see that going on. And yeah.
Yeah, I've always heard, buy low, sell high, and there has been hits.
Exactly.
I've always thought that, I don't be too scared. I personally think things are going to get better. So as soon as this gets on, I think that the society, the country as a whole is going to come back. And I know real estate will come back too. I just know that it's going to be doing a lot better. Different things, like you said, is going on right now. So here's my next thing is, how can real estate and realtors, this is real estate in general, how can we protect against the COVID-19?
Well, great question. And that's something that we're taking a lot of precautions on. We want to take this very seriously all around. And obviously there's federal regulations in place. And then there's also stuff that we're taking to protect ourselves. You do have title companies that are doing a lot of what are called RON closings, remote online notaries. So they've already transitioned, and Florida actually did just recently pass legislation on doing electronic closings, and we hadn't for a long time. So it's actually kind of perfect timing. Some of these title companies had already transferred over into the system for 2020. So not every title company has jumped onto this. So just get with your closing company and make sure that they have indeed put these practices in place, so that way you can do electronic closings and signing of documents. It's just a webcam involved, and then they can go ahead and take care of that for you. It does not work on FaceTime though. So they do have the platforms, and they'll tell you which platforms to use. Just listen to them, because there's a lot of, they want to make sure it's legit too. There's a lot of regulations, but very easy for the consumer.
Right.
Title company takes care of all that. And then you have inspections. I mean, there's a couple different ways people are doing it. Sometimes people are just doing one person at a time, one person in the home at a time. So the realtor will unlock the door, go and do anything that they need to, come out, and then the buyer will go in without the sellers or anyone else in the building. Or you have realtors that'll go through and they'll just do a walkthrough on FaceTime or whatever it is, and just do a virtual walkthrough, and that's being very effective as well. Open houses are shut down, but you are seeing, again, more virtual tours of homes, which I think is awesome. There's a lot of great equipment out there. I mean, we have drones, we have cameras, we have all sorts of software for it now. So, and then as far as lending, I mean, we're pretty much virtual anyways, regardless. So from the beginning process to the end, it's really transitioned to online platforms all around.
Right. And it's good that people know about these options. And I do appreciate you sharing, coming in, because a lot of people don't know what's going on. They're asking questions a lot, whether it's verbally, electronically, you name it. They're like, hey, what can I do? How can I even do an open house? How can I even get anything virtual? So it's good to share these kind of things. And, I'm a notary myself, actually. I just became a notary. So it's like, this is good stuff for everybody to know, to say, hey,
Yeah.
we have a
And
closing,
And
close.
there's also clauses and stuff in the contract now that are being put in place. I mean, there's a COVID-19 addendum even
Yeah,
that that you've seen,
yeah,
and that's being passed around to protect people so that that way they're not caught in the middle, even if they're past that loan commitment period, but their job was taken away because of COVID or something like that. So we're really doing everything we can to protect all sides.
right. And I think it's good to be, have that precaution steps there. And I also have sellers. I have a listing in Wellington right now, and my sellers are wanting me to ask like 3 main questions. And if anybody wants to know that, just comment on the video when we post this. I'm gonna have it where I can send you what that picture looks like, and it has questions. It has 3 questions of what the showing agent will want to ask their buyers too. So that way we can say no or yes to that. So that way we know how safe you are. So that's good. So it's cool, man. Awesome. So what else can we expect? Here's another thing: is what happens now? What should we expect? I'm not saying tomorrow, next week, but in general for the future, near future, what can we expect from the real estate world?
Yeah. And it's a great question. I mean, are a few things. Obviously, I'm going to see my perspective from the lending side a lot too, where you do see lenders tightening their belts as far as who they're willing to lend money out to. They're trying to discourage people that have lower credit scores from purchasing now, just because they want to make sure that they're protected too. The last thing we want is another 2007, 2008.
Right.
So the people that, and we'll get into this more later, but the people that are going to take part in forbearance or perhaps foreclose altogether are be more likely, statistically speaking, people with lower credit. So they're really barrier to entry. They just don't want as many people jumping in when you score under even like 640 or 660. They're putting some overlays as well. Now, those probably won't last very long. We're probably thinking those last maybe 2-3 months tops.
Okay.
But it's just a great thing if you're looking on the horizon. Credit. Do everything you can to just boost your credit. And once you get past that, you're going to have a great interest rate. So you're going to have all of the bells and whistles. But don't expect to have a good interest rate, or you might just have to pay for whatever interest rate you get if you are going in at low credit. They'll still do it, but it's going to be through the nose, which it just doesn't benefit anyone. Again, they're trying to slow that stream from the less qualified buyers. And like I said, we'll get more into forbearance in a second.
Right.
But for everyone else, I mean, what to expect in the months to come. This is actually a fun time in real estate because, like I said earlier, it opens up a lot of opportunities. We are expecting a little bit of a dip, probably around June, and then back up to the normal market in about August or so. That's what we're just predicting by our models on everything else, because you're going to, I mean, once fear stops governing and once we've kind of recovered and gone back to normal and everyone's jobs are fine and we know that no one else is getting like laid off or anything else, that's when all the regulations just drop away, and then it's going to be another frenzy. So then that's where we expect it to just pop up a ton back in about August.
Right.
So in the meantime, take advantage of it. Like I said before, get those great deals. Really go after it. You're going to see a lot more serious players on the field. You're going to see the people that have been waiting for stuff like this to buy properties, investors, etc. Interestingly enough, I was also on another conference call and like forecasting everything else in the market.
Yeah.
And one gentleman brought up a good point on it all, where you have, as people return back to normalcy, you have a lot of people that are stir crazy right now. They want to get out of their houses, but they're scared to go back around in crowds after this. Right. So you're probably going to see a surge in more Airbnbs versus hotels after all this. And when you do, then, I mean, that's also going to open up a lot of opportunity for people that do have those single units or those couple unit rentals. So those we do anticipate to be a little bit more, kind of like a hot commodity in the next few months.
Right. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, it will bounce back. And I just want everyone to stay safe and take this serious at this time. Stay away from those crowds. When this gets lifted, I understand there's going to be some concerns, but over time we can heal as a country, as a society, and as a community. And that's something we can do together, and we will make it happen. And anything in
Yeah,
the
and there'll be vaccines available. There'll be all sorts of stuff.
right, right, and there will be. And thank you for letting us kind of like your side of it of what's going to be coming. It's definitely it makes sense. And what are some of the things that some protections for homeowners that are happening and occurring right now? Like even about like what about deferring, the mortgage payments? What's your advice about deferring mortgage payments and things of that nature?
For sure. And that's kind of what I was saying we would touch on. So forbearance is the technical term. That's what's written into all of the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD guidelines and everything else. This is the forbearance has always been in existence. Okay. It's normally for people when they're coming up to where they're seeing foreclosure on the horizon, their job's been affected. Maybe they've had some sort of life-changing illness. Now they're in the hospital and they can't make those payments. Forbearance, you normally go ahead and just prove whatever hardship. You go to your servicer. So if I make my payment online to PennyMac or US Bank or whatever it is, I would go to that website, I would call them, I would go through their online portal, whatever it is, and apply for that forbearance. What forbearance means is that you are putting off your payment or reducing your payment for a few months. So let's say that forbearance period is 3 months. Let's say it's 8 months. Let's say it's a year,
Right.
whatever it is. Now, this is the very critical part. Forbearance does not push those payments to the end of the 30 years or the 15 years of your loan. It
Uh,
pushes those payments to the end of the forbearance period. So on that 4th, 9th, or 13th month, you're going to be responsible for one heck of a check.
uh,
Okay?
so it's kind of
Because
like
you're
a balloon
catching up.
payment, right?
It's like a balloon payment, exactly. And so this is what the mortgage companies are very scared of right now, because there was all this legislation that was in the stimulus package and all this talk about forbearance in there. But the average American doesn't realize. They're just saying, oh, I'm not making my payment right now, and not realizing that they can be teeing themselves up for failure later on. So in some ways it's great. I mean, if you can put it off for a year and then you get back to work in 3 months, okay, you're building up with that in mind. You know you're going to have that big amount due later on. You can manage it. Other people, it's really a scary scenario. So I would advise anyone, if you can make your mortgage payments, make them. If you can't, you can do a couple different things. There are some banks and some of the organizations, some of the servicers that would rather push that and make it a true deferment to the end of the loan. And that's the distinction between forbearance and deferment. The deferment pushes it to the end of the loan. The forbearance has the balloon payment. So
Yeah.
some servicers are now starting to add in deferment. So first of all, what you can do, research it, talk to them, see if they will in fact clearly defer it and not just saying defer instead of forbearance. Be double, triple check the verbiage to make sure that they're
Make
saying
sure
what
it's
you're saying.
right. Yes.
Yeah. And
Agreed.
then if not, there's a couple other things you can do. You can do a loan modification, which it can be part of the forbearance thing where you just reduce it. So that way, you have a small check due at the end, but you've had a little bit of relief in the meantime. You can do what's a real loan modification and talk to your servicer. And sometimes they'll, work with actual deferral on that. Just ask them about your options. Or you can do a refinance. And a lot of people are taking up a refinance right now. Oh, did you lose me? Okay. A lot of people are taking up refinances right now because if you time it right, you can go ahead and just skip 2 payments, maybe get some money back,
Right.
lower your payment. You're just doing a lot of things that are overall good. And I would recommend that again to anyone who has good credit right now. Probably 660, 680, 700 and above are really the people that are going to benefit from that the most right now as a proactive measure.
Right. Because we won't be seeing the 580s anymore right now because the stuff's going on. So I love that. What you said is very smart. Instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm not going to pay my mortgage," hey, let's do a refi, right? And that's something that you
Mm-hmm.
specialize in. That's something that you do, correct?
Mm-hmm. That is.
Great. Yeah, because I think that'd be one of the main options. So that way they can skip the payments for up to the 2 months without getting hurt. And I had tons of people ask me, they're like, "Hey, what if I just don't pay my mortgage?" I'm like, no, you don't want to do that. If anything, I highly recommend trying other areas of your life, like credit cards. Try to
Mm-hmm.
defer those too. Try to get some payments off elsewhere,
Absolutely.
your car payment. Insurance. Don't, man, I mean, if do not hurt your credit. Do not pay. You know, you're gonna get hurt. You have to physically call those companies, credit card companies, what have you, and talk about options because they can work with you, and it is happening for some of my clients and some of the people out there in my community. So that is something very good. And the loan modification, thank you. That's something that everybody needed to hear. Another thing, I know it's something a little bit different, but something I want to mention is when there's a hurricane and we are forced to move and someone had some wind damage or they're forced to evacuate, they can also see about doing a loan modification to their Department of Loss Mitigation. So if they contact the loss mitigation department, they can find out what options that they have as well.
Yes, and there are a bunch of great options as well. I mean, there's loans that the government's doing right now where it's up to a $10,000 loan if you're self-employed. That way you can go ahead and get something in part of the stimulus package as well to kind of relieve some of that financial burden. I think what you said is very wise about credit cards as well. Most credit cards, most cars as well are allowing you to truly defer your payments with no interest added to do so. So I would highly recommend going after those first to see what they say. And then also with everything we were talking about, when we're saying credit, 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 a couple, I'm sorry, a couple credit tips overall. You want to make sure your usage on a card is between 15 and 30% of the total limit. If you have any sort of collections, don't let them just sit on there. Go to them and see if they'll negotiate down and bring it down and try to get that off as soon as rather than later. The longer it's on there, the more it's just going to pull down your credit. There's really no benefit from it. If you can't fight it now, you're not going to be able to fight it later, and it's just going to damage you in the process. So there are a couple of great credit repair companies that both Brandon and myself know. So just reach out to us too, and we'll be able to kind of point you in the right direction.
Right. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. We'll make sure to do that. And what is the best contact number for you if someone were to want to reach out to you?
You can just call my cell. We are both in Palm Beach County, but I do have an Orlando number. Brandon, can you just link it in below in the post below, and then we'll just go from there. And then also my email too. You can just reach me directly.
Yeah, I'd be more happy, definitely more happy to do that. And before we head off, what is like probably what kind of summarize? What is like your best? I don't know. What would you? I don't know. Your best advice you would give right now towards from what you already given. What is the best advice you would say to end this call?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely a point where everything's just governed by fear right now. And the less fear that we go into this whole situation with, the more encouragement, the more positivity. I mean, we're rocking and rolling in real estate too,
Yeah.
still, and all these industries are going to have some relief in the next couple weeks, next couple months with this whole stimulus package really taken into effect. I mean, they have the larger businesses that can get, what is it, like 250 times the payroll amount as a forgivable loan as long as they don't lay off anyone in the meantime. Like there's all these programs coming out that will really gonna pull through this strong.
Right.
Um, so keep your head up, take care of the stuff around you, enjoy this downtime to be with your family, your loved ones. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We'll personalize the advice towards you. My advice also is just to stay if you are going after deals right now, stay a little bit emotionally attached from the home more than normal, just because there might be fluctuations. I mean, I've seen interest rates change as much as a percentage in a couple of hours. That's not normal. So they jump up, down, sideways. There's new regulations right now that are happening every day, and sometimes they'll just disappear. So it's really just staying unemotional till we weather this storm, because if we don't think that it's going to be a good investment of your money, then listen to us. If we say hop on this, you should listen to us too, because we're in it every single day. So it's really just being from an astute, acute business mindset right now.
I agree. I agree. Thank you, Stephanie. And one thing I want to end with is student loans. It's been also presented that not the private, but the federal direct loans. Some of the federal loans, you don't have to pay a payment until September. So I highly encourage everybody to contact their loan departments for student loans and just talk to your representative and make sure to find out and make sure to see if you qualify for that. So again, Stephanie, thank you so much. It's been great. Thank you for coming on. And
Thank you for having me.
definitely, we look forward to talking.
Good luck out there, guys.
Yep, we will.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye, Stephanie.
Bye.